Hey everybody, Chainsaw Reacts with Andy. What's going over there? Andy just finished. Of course, we watched the Superman and Lois season 2 finale. A lot of things to talk about, but we are here specifically because I called him up like we have to talk now. So that's why I'm in my room right now. There's a lot of stuff
My
going on.
bed and I had a date.
Yes, and soon I'll be going to bed as well. But we have to talk about the fact that Superman and Lois does not take place on Earth Prime. It takes place on another Earth, which we have discussed on Endless Multiverse several times. And like, what does this mean exactly? And then also the fact too, we have Diggle, and I was thinking too, Diggle looks exactly like Diggle from Flash. So I don't know. I don't know. What was your first reaction when you saw when it's
Yeah.
revealed this is not the same Earth? Because this is like, wait a minute.
Yeah. So so for people just to give them full context, and again, I'm sorry, I look like a hot mess again because this bitch really called me and was like, we need to make this happen. I'm like, oh right, he saw the finale. Yeah, because I watched the finale last week because I did an interview with Todd Helping. It was the showrunner of Super Lois. And I had a couple of days to kind of process that, but I'm still. This is very problematic in a lot of ways, and again,
Yeah.
I think that we will see how to play that in season 3, obviously. But I think that this is such a strange thing to do
Yeah.
when we've had all these interviews, we've had these indications about that it is on Earth Prime, again, that's the whole point of Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Mhm.
Yes, we know that Super Lows, they have different special effects. Yes, we know they film with anthropomorphic cameras or whatever it's called, but this is still very. I mean, it's like, what was the point? And you know, now
Yeah.
we know that why car has been mentioned and whatever. Again, I mean, they have no issue mentioning Star City, Central City, whatever. So and again, with this Diggle, you know, what does this mean now? Like, what kind of Diggle is this?
Yeah.
Because obviously,
It's
go ahead.
irritating. Well, it's irritating because literally, like you're saying, what's up with this Diggle? Because literally, we had Diggle referencing certain stuff during his season 1 appearance
Hmm.
that directly is connected to Arrow, directly connected to Crisis, and now we're just saying, I mean, this is in the multiverse, so okay, but it's
Hmm.
like really because we just saw David Ramsey, who plays Diggle, John Diggle, on The Flash, look exactly the same as he does now. That just seems really odd to me that they would just allow him to come in looking pretty much exactly like he did on his appearance on Flash, and then he just walks on to set of Superman and Lois, and it's a completely different Earth. Just doesn't make sense because you would think Diggle would not look the same on every Earth, at least in terms of appearance at a certain
Yeah,
point.
and have almost the exact same backstory. Oh,
Yeah,
he supposedly, he had an Oliver Queen or something, which we talked a little about, me and Todd about. But again, it's like again. I think that obviously they're gonna have to explain more of that next season.
yeah,
But it's sad because this is, again, like, it feels like, I mean, we are reaching the end of this franchise, but not in the way that I think anyone was really expecting. We know Flash has at least season 9.
yeah.
We will see about season 10, but we know that the end of the journey is near. And then after that, we have Stargirl on Earth 2. We have Superman Lois. I'm just gonna call Earth 1. It will be easier
Mm-hmm.
that way.
Yeah,
But it's like,
because
now
Stargirl's Earth 2,
yeah.
so
And the only character that connects Stargirl to the Flash is Jay Garrick. We only have That's the one character, and we haven't seen anything more with that since then.
yeah.
But with Superman is like, okay, so like, what does this mean now? Like, on Earth Prime, like, does Tyler now play a different Superman? Like, does that Tyler Hoechlin wear the Supergirl version of the Superman costume, or like, what?
Possibly. I mean, well, also too, Crisis Part 5 had Lois say the boys. So essentially, Earth Prime, their version have presumably twins as well. So the issue with the issue with this decision contradicts, like we said, a lot of stuff that has been said and what they did in Crisis, because they erased baby Jonathan. They brought forth Jonathan and Jordan as twins, and they hinted at with the boys in Crisis, and even Lois mentioned Crisis. So, and presumably the entire universe, like multiverse, all of it was destroyed in Crisis. So how would this Lois remember Crisis specifically and mention about Crisis in
Hmm.
season 1 at that one. It was a random scene too when it was mentioned, but still it was like it was brought up. And then when you think back on recently how the original pilot script of Superman and Lois, where they had multiple mentions of Crisis, and then those were
And
taken
Star
out.
Lab, Central City, and
Yeah,
so on.
and they were taken out. And now the biggest contradiction is the fact that, there's been people worked on the show who have talked about the crossovers and talking about, connections and stuff, but in interviews, not on the show. But it's that Diggle thing. If they literally introduced Diggle in season 1 as a different Earth Diggle and made a point to mention that Oliver's still alive, then they would easily, okay, this is a different Earth. We don't want that. We want it all interconnected some sort of way, but they did not do that. They made a point to make it seem like this is the same Diggle.
Yeah, and it would be kind of nice for you to have those two shows still connected in that way because like again because we know, um I know that with COVID and so on, it is still
Yeah.
it's tricky, but it's still so. Again, and here's the thing: I know there's going to be a butt ton of fans who will be very excited that this is happening because they didn't want Superman Lois to be connected to Flash. But at this point, here's what I will say: I don't see there being like this is the beginning of a new DC franchise. I don't see there
No.
being Superman Lois spin-offs and the Superverse. Because again, as General Lane says in this episode, I've seen realities of of leagues of other superheroes, and even though Superman is our only one on this earth, it's like okay, that means that like metahumans maybe not exist here yet or something. Again, it's just
Yeah. Well, we know certain ones do based off of them like training them in facilities for the DoD. So we know they are to some extent. But essentially what they're saying is if there's a Barry Allen, he's not the Flash in Central City. That's what they're kind of implying. Because I think that would be mentioned by the DoD at some point with them talking about Superman. Like, oh, there's also a guy who can run the speed of the faster than the speed of light in Central City. Because as you notice with the Arrowverse shows, they've always brought up some sort of connection or mentioned something or whatever.
There's they could be small, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be like global where it's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
can you believe what happened in Central City this week or something? No, it's
yeah.
yeah.
And the fact that they haven't done that implies to me that Superman literally is one of the only heroes they really recognize, and everybody else they really don't know about. Because I bet there's probably a Batman in Gotham, but he might be a myth. So he may not. So they may not even speak about it because it's an urban legend or something. They don't even know. But I would think if a meta reveals itself like the Flash, then that would be probably noticed by a lot of people. Because we saw how quick Central City turned when Barry became the Flash. We saw how fast everybody was talking about how fast pun, but how quick everybody started talking about this lightning, this something, and yet the show has never addressed that. And now it kind of makes sense because apparently it's not connected.
Well, again, I will say again, I don't like using that word connected. I will say like it's just not on Earth Prime. Like,
It's
again,
not Earth Prime. It's not on the same Earth. Yes, it's in the multiverse because realistically, Barry Allen could run over to this Earth once they rediscover the multiverse, but I don't see it happening because
I asked Todd about that. I said to him like I know that now this is in terms of yes, this is separate Earth, but again, Todd has worked on the fly. He is well familiar with the multiverse, and they like I think it's gonna be like what we did with Supergirl and the Flash when they crossed over when Supergirl was on CBS.
Mm-hmm.
You open up a breach, and this could be a new way to maybe introduce a new style of breaches. How to open up a dimension or something.
Okay. Possibly.
So, So again, we will see. That will be something for season 9 of Flash to resolve, or Superman Lois, maybe they accidentally Clark just accidentally falls into a hole. And he's like,
well, they did do as we saw season 2. They did have that new version of a breach to go to the Bizarro world, so they could realistically go down that road. And with General Lane mentioning how he's seen other leagues of heroes, that word league. Not saying Justice League, but
we just wish he could say it. It's just so dumb.
But I think the wording is interesting because literally what he has seen, it implies that in the multiverse on the other Earths there are other teams out there.
You just say endless multiverse.
No, I said other worlds. I think I said other worlds. It's too damn late. Yeah. It really is. But it's interesting how he has seen other stuff, and the implication is the multiverse is thriving with heroes, and that's a really good thing. Probably just won't see any of them. Who knows? Because we had John Henry Irons come from another Earth that was destroyed. Of course, Natalie showed up later, and then of course we have the Bizarro world. So the potential is we could start bringing in multiverse other characters into the fold in Superman and Lois, and that could lead to where Barry could show up. Our Barry could show up and go, "Hey, Clark," and he goes, "Huh?" It's like maybe he doesn't realize that this is a different Clark right away or something, or maybe he just
Yeah.
thinks. You just never know, because he could accidentally travel to another Earth and don't realize he did it. And then he meets that Clark, and then he's like, "I don't know who you are." So they have to basically introduce themselves again, kind of.
It will be weird, definitely, and I know that again, in the description below there will be a link to, of course, his reaction. There he is, his reaction. But of
Hey,
course, yeah, because we're not doing an endless multiverse episode this week.
yeah,
And again, I know I look like crap right now. Like I look like but
yeah,
I was like, yes, okay, let's do something and talk about it, because I figure everyone is going to be losing their minds.
mm-hmm.
Um,
A lot of talk.
yeah, and now does
Yeah,
everyone? Hopefully, you will all now understand why again. I mean, I legally I cannot say anything. I've seen a screener, but like when all y'all went after me in the last episode in this multiverse, and we're like, Andy, can you just see something? I was like, there is nothing I can really say, you know.
that's funny.
But
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
we will see what the future holds. Again, it's like again, these shows still exist on the same network. They film in Vancouver, and again, as long as they want, like, if they want to make it happen, they will make it happen. But
yeah.
it is an unnecessary thing, and I wonder why why this was the
Did
direction
it?
they went to.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
let us know in the comment below what you think.
Please tell us.
But yeah, you will see him for the rest of the week on this channel. I'll be back next week when we do episode 20 of Endless Multiverse.
20. Yes.
So go see 411 Thunder beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we're going to talk about.
Yep.
And yeah, we will. I mean, I'm sure we'll make room to talk about these finales or whatever.
Yeah.
Because wow.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let us know in the comments below, guys, what you think.
Give a
And
thumbs up if you liked the
yes,
video, and
thumbs
then hit
up,
subscribe.
subscribe,
And then with the
and
I don't have a bell, like I don't know,
that
like
bell for
bang.
notification. But just let us know, and hopefully we'll get more answers in season 3 of Superman and Lois. Hopefully we'll get some more answers to this Diggle. Maybe they will make some actual distinctions, because I'm assuming based off that scene.
Put on a damn ring.
I know. I'm hoping that in season 3, Diggle will return this Diggle, and maybe we'll get more of a distinction of this version of Diggle. We'll have a better idea of who he is, possibly. Anyways,
Possibly.
hope you guys enjoyed the video. We will talk to you guys soon. Bye, everybody.